Welcome back to Advance Wars 2 Reboot Camp. Last time, we saved the POWs from, in a surprisingly dark turn for this game, being used in an experiment by Lash, and you know what, let's actually get some payback on Lash now with Mountain Ops. Yeah, the mission numbering's going to be a little bit out of order, but you can do these in any order. Cross the mountains, Lash's laboratory is there in the distance, destroy it. Not actually a laboratory because that's the lab mission, but still. So this is the second of the challenge mode exclusive missions.
Yeah.
Your first encounter with Lash in the normal campaign is a mission called Lash Out that I think does a much better job of introducing her as a character. So yeah, this mission is going to be all about mechs.
Roger.
And we're about to see just how silly Sammy with a lot of mechs can be. In the right circumstances, that is. Missile silos, okay. This is a new mechanic that you're not supposed to encounter until Blue Moon and Gold Comet. So, okay then, I'm going to have to explain this now. I mean, there is a mission later on literally called Nature Walk, but that's also not a walk in the park. And so, here we go, time to face Lash for the first time in challenge mode. In Mountain Ops. And yeah, Lash in Mountains is quite dangerous because she gets a 40% firepower bonus there. Yeah, that's a lot of mountains.
Commander Lash!
Just go kill them or whatever.
You.
Well, yeah, let's make sure that we stop this. I like to think that the Black Hole, like, infantry are probably like clone soldiers, but still. We're back to using Sammy, and this is a pretty standard mission. Just defeat the enemy or capture their HQ. But we have a big fat cannon in the way, and yeah. After Andy's time on normal, every cannon you encounter will be able to fire every turn. Of course, on challenge mode, they're always able to fire every turn. There are 2 missile silos there. I'll explain how those work once we reach them. But they can only be used by infantry and mechs, and that's why Sammy's useful here. But with all these mountains, yeah, you are kind of expected to go heavily on mechs right now. Although, I might actually want to instead go for infantry and APCs first off, because I really want to get those bases. Like, there's kind of like a line of bases that you're sort of supposed to leapfrog across, but okay, that base is inside cannon range. As we've seen with Orange Dawn, bases that are in a distance of an attack structure, usually not that useful, but it's pretty close to the front lines. Okay, so alright, I have a better idea of what to do with this APC. This APC is going to go here, so the infantry can get in the next turn, and then I might even be able to reach that base. But now, it is time to begin. Actually, no, I'll just use regular infantry up here. I was about to say time to begin the Mech Spam, but again, yeah, Mech Spam, I feel, is overrated. It is kind of a discussion that I wanted to go into in this map, because it's something that I've kind of alluded to a few times. It might be different depending on which maps are, like, used in this game's online mode. I haven't played online mode yet. I'll probably do it one day, but, like, yeah, here's the thing. A mech would take 1 additional turn to reach this city. And that's actually a big deal. That's 1 extra turn that I would be missing out on 1,000 income for. And that does really add up. So mechs do have a lot of considerable weaknesses. The loss of 1 point of movement over infantry means that your capturing in the early game is going to be set back quite a bit. Also, there is the fact that, as I mentioned back in Andy's time, the fact they essentially get hard countered by infantry for 1/3 of the price. That is especially bad, since infantry are the type of units that you really want to be spamming as much as possible. Now, on maps with a lot of dense terrain like this, mechs can be pretty good, but their movement of 2 is still a little problematic when you have to cover this much ground, so you definitely want to mix in some regular infantry. Sammy's mechs are still very fun with her firepower bonuses and with them getting boosted movement during the powers. That especially makes mechs quite interesting to see. Again, here, what I'd like to do is I want to move this mech there so that next turn they can get in that transport. I get a little bit more movement that way. And, okay, I'm going to actually forgo this missile silo just yet. I don't really need it. I should probably explain how those work if I'm specifically saying that it's worth my time to forgo this missile silo right now. So, yeah, this silo right here. Here's how these work. Single-use missile usable by foot soldiers. Can target anywhere on the map and has a big blast radius. It hits in a 3x3 diamond. It can only be used once, and it can be used by either side. So Lash is very likely to get this missile silo soon. The missile silo does 3 HP of damage to everything caught in the blast radius, and it does have friendly fire, which is something to be aware of. So it's kind of like a mini meteor strike that you get to control, only doing a total of 3 damage. Oh yeah, in case it wasn't obvious, cannons can't actually fire on their own side, so Lash has free reign in getting this base, whereas I'm going to have to really work for it, maybe with some join spam. So okay then. Yeah, I can start going for that one, and from here, yeah, this base is so surrounded by mountains that really the only viable thing to build out of it is mechs, so like again, mechs, I think mechs are a situational unit. I think they're good defensively, because if your enemy is trying to swarm you with a lot of tanks, you can build mechs out of your bases to deter them from getting close, like we saw with Flak back in Andy's time. But for all-purpose situations, you will generally lose out on a lot of capturing and a lot of distance if you spam mechs instead of infantry. So you do definitely need to get infantry as well. Also, as I've said before, mechs aren't quite as cost-effective as you might think. Because, I think I want to go for this when she's capturing. I'll stand on it to make sure that like I have access to it when I need to. But, yeah, I'm going to wait until she's in range to capture, just so I can delay her getting that base. But yeah, mechs aren't actually as cost-effective as you might think, because, okay, where's this going? Yeah, the enemy tends to target the biggest clump of price, so there being an APC within that, she went for that. I personally would have gone for the infantry that's about to start capturing a base. Of course, being Sammy, I'd still be able to capture in 2 turns even if the missile did hit there, but you get the idea. If I was anyone but Sammy, that would delay me from getting that base. And speaking of which, I think I now want to use the missile silo, because now that'll delay her getting that city and make sure that infantry is going to be, although she has other infantry in range of that base right now. But there is going to be some fairly intense mech fighting coming up from that base soon. Again, I've got to watch out for the cannon. Yeah, these properties right here mark the full range of the cannon. Got a few things damaged, but they should be, I guess they'll be alright. So I can put you there. Yeah, I was always kind of looking forward to playing this map in the original game, because I get to, you know, discuss Mech Spam and how, I've definitely reevaluated my opinion on Mech Spam quite a lot since I played the original GBA games, because people used to go on and on like it was the best thing ever, and yeah, on small maps, it is kind of hard to stop on small maps, especially when backed up by indirects. This map's a little too open and too mountainous for indirects, so I haven't really built any artillery or rockets yet. Normally, Sammy is really great at using walls of foot soldiers backed by indirects. They can be really hard to break through, but even then, generally you do want to use infantry over mechs. But it's more that I've been watching some, like, Advance Wars by Web matches, and I've noticed that, it's more that a lot of the Advance Wars by Web maps just aren't designed to be particularly conductive to Mech Spam. They're usually quite open and have not as much mountainous terrain. they're fairly big, and so missing out on, like, that one extra movement to get you to properties faster really hurts in the long term. So yeah, I think they definitely deliberately designed those custom maps to make sure that Mech Spam isn't encouraged. Even on a map like this, it is going to take a while for my mechs to get anywhere because it is decently wide. But, like, yeah, as I said, mechs are very situational. I've just come to think that Mech Spam is fairly overrated. It's not always an amazing tactic, although it was known ever since the original games, because I remember in that old Game Boy Advance review magazine that got me into this series, one of the captions in one of the images for their Black Hole Rising review was, "Sammy's new superpower is every mech rush victim's worst nightmare." I had no idea what that meant at the time, but now I do. And yeah, Victory March with mechs it's definitely brutal, but at the same time, this is quite a low-income game, so it's going to be a long time before I actually see Victory March. But it also means that we won't be seeing a lot of Prime Tactics either, because we didn't really see much of this in... Yeah, I definitely need to start, and that's not even going to be in cannon range. Yeah, I'm going to start interrupting this. I want to make Lash work for this base, and if she does get it, I'm going to make sure she doesn't use it for long. Anytime there are centralized bases, there's another thing that Advance Wars by Web actually avoids like the plague. Typically, they make the map as mirrored as possible and don't put bases in the center, because if you put a base in the center, it usually means that whoever gets that first wins. That's generally how things work if you're dealing with very skilled players. So that's why a lot of like the default maps in that are given to you in the actual game aren't great competitively speaking. I think the Runaway guys are running into that issue quite a bit with their, as of recording this, current playthrough. But at the same time, though, I do feel like it's very hard to balance 3-player maps. It's kind of hard to keep those you know, symmetrical. Whereas if you've got a 2-player or a 4-player map, an even number, it is a lot easier to keep those symmetrical. I probably do want to start capturing that with the mechs as opposed to with the infantry, because I need to be able to join to get that, but I probably should go all in on getting that base too. But I gotta be careful of the cannon. Yeah, cannons are obviously a mechanic that is stacked entirely in Black Hole's favor, since they only attack you, not them. But my mechs have already reached the halfway point of the map. It only took 9 days, yeah. Again, if this map was any less mountainous, then I wouldn't recommend mechs here, but let's go for tanks. Another reason why I don't really recommend Mech Spam is it leaves you with less money to spend on other types of units, and generally in multiplayer competitive games, you really want a lot of infantry and tanks. You want a lot of both of those types of units. And also, you want to be building units out of all of your bases every turn, and unless you have god tier income, you usually won't be able to afford mechs out of every one of your bases. Another thing that Advance Wars by Web, I was called Advance Wars by Mech, but it's like the exact opposite. The other thing that Advance Wars by Web does is that it usually gives each player fairly few bases. Oh, that is really cool, getting to see somebody attack from a silo. I've never seen that yet. Because silos are new to Black Hole Rising, if it wasn't already obvious. Advance Wars by Web also has funny things with silos. For some reason, Advance Wars by Web likes to place, empty missile silos on maps, because they offer the same defense as a city, but they don't give any income, and they can't be captured. So, essentially what that does is it gives some more variety in the terrain, without potentially giving an income advantage to one player or another. You know, maybe indirects are actually a solid option on this map, because this is zoning my tank away quite well. But if I can get some of these into position... Sammy's theme is still great, but what else is new? Okay, now since the cannon can only fire on one thing per turn, either one of these, it's definitely going to be the mech that gets hit though, because the cannon goes for the most expensive target, so... yeah, I'm going to be suffering a little in my base capture attempt, but again, I am Sammy, and because I am Sammy, it means I probably still get that base next turn. The problem with bases in range of a cannon, though, is it means that everything that comes out of that base is going to effectively cost 20% more and only have 7 HP upon usability, which is really terrible. Actually, what's not terrible is if I put this APC here, because I don't think the cannon is smart enough to realize that a capturing soldier is more valuable than an APC. So it's probably going to go for the APC because it's costs more. But yeah, a lot of Advance Wars by web maps end up just looking completely bizarre and nonsensical and not making any sense as an actual practical landmass, but I guess that's just how, yeah, it's handled. Probably should have done another tank, maybe I should have got an artillery, but I don't know. Yeah, like, it's funny, I'm talking in this map on and on about how much I think Mech Spam is overrated, and here I am Mech Spamming. Yep, it went for the APC. Okay, now you do have a 20% firepower bonus thanks to the wood, so gotta remember that combined with Sammy no longer having increased defense on her foot soldiers, yeah, this is definitely a map that favors Lash quite a bit, but it also heavily favors Sammy because, you know, mountains and mechs. It's kind of some of the rare times you'll be able to see mechs getting first strike on infantry. Finally, Lash has gone for mechs of her own. She probably should have started doing that sooner, but yeah, like, she's definitely going for a lot of them right now. But now, again, I have the central base, which is good. I was about to call it a factory, but here's the thing. While people like calling bases factories in Advance Wars because that's kind of what they are, not quite the case in Black Hole Rising. Let's just say that things, there's a little bit of a difference in Black Hole Rising. Suppose I can put that mech down there. Yeah, I didn't really get to fully finish my earlier tangent about how, not really a tangent since it's pretty relevant to what's happening here, but how mechs are, not as cost-effective as you might think. Because here's the thing. Mechs heavily rely on investment in other units to be good, either more mechs or transports. So even though they might seem cost-effective versus tanks and other things like that, they require a lot more support than those other types of units do. And by the time you start investing in all of the support they need, all of a sudden they don't seem like as cost-effective. They don't seem as cost-effective anymore. Have to retreat that infantry. I don't think I've even lost anything yet. No, I haven't. And I've built 27 units already. So, again, it's going to be forever until I actually get Victory March. I don't know if I'll even get it by the time this is over, because Lash doesn't have a lot of income, and she's not really getting much more. I'm not even sure what the S-rank turn limit for this is, but I would assume that it's very, very generous. You know what? Let's actually start investing in some artillery now. I guess I can get one mech, but I'm going to go for a little more infantry. See, I'm still only at about the halfway point of the map. I wonder if Lash is going to be provoked into using terrain tactics, because it's kind of unlikely that she'll get all the way to prime tactics. And honestly, terrain tactics is not bad on a map like this, because it means that her infantry will be able to run across mountains as effectively as mechs do. And yeah, mechs do crumple if they get first struck by a vehicle, so, and they have terrible movement, so another reason why they're not amazing, but yep, it's funny, Lash is going all in on Mech Spam right now, because I'm pretty sure, like, that's the main thing her economy can buy right now. Oh, she has 8,000. Of course, she only has 7,000 now. Oh, that takes you down to exactly 10, which is good. Yeah, I think I do need to just start slowly creeping across these mountains. Gotta be a little careful about giving her a power, because again, terrain tactics is kind of a solid option here, but... And a 1 HP APC isn't any worse at transporting units, which is good. And now... Yeah, so like right here, see this right here, this is what makes people think that Sammy mechs are very good, and they are pretty good. Like, when they get a first strike on a vehicle from a mountain, they do devastating damage, and this map is very much designed so that you get a lot of engagements like this. But this is generally this is the exception and not the rule. And again, infantry make, and also, yeah, infantry do make quite decent walls as well. And they're better at being walls than mechs, because even though they have a little bit less defense, they're a lot cheaper, and so you can have a lot more of them and be more efficient at blocking off large areas of the map. So yeah, this map's basically all about slowly creeping forward with stuff, and, nah, it can still reach my infantry from above. But Lash can attack the mech if I do this, I suppose. Lash could double team it. Oh, and if she attacks from the city. Yeah, you do have to remember that when facing Lash, because your units that are adjacent to cities are especially vulnerable to Lash, because anything that fires from one of Lash's cities is going to be firing at plus 30% firepower, which is quite significant. And again, the cannon has other things to shoot at, but if it shoots at the mech on my base, it means that I'm forced to effectively spend an extra 20% on that mech, and it only comes out at 7 HP. That's why I didn't go for that base back in Andy's time. Because I just find that it's really not that worth it. You know what's really hilarious? I might even... 35. It's possible that I could end up hitting the 50-unit cap on this map. I actually did in an earlier take of Rivals. One that ended up taking an hour and 40 minutes instead of much less, because I didn't go for the central airport strategy. But yeah, I actually did hit the unit cap there, which was funny. There are actually some missions in Black Hole Rising where letting the enemy hit the unit cap is an effective strategy. But okay, I sabotage Lash's income even more. Very soon, she will only be able to afford mechs. I still feel like I'm probably not going to end up getting... I mean, we'll see, but it's not likely that I'll end up getting Victory March, which is sad, because Victory Marching with this entire horde of mechs would be hilarious. But yeah, Victory March, a lot of the time, is kind of overkill, and the other thing about Victory March is that if you go for Victory March, it's sort of like an all-or-nothing strategy. If you go for Victory March with the instant HQ capture and fail, you've pretty much instantly lost. Yeah, I can get a good first strike on you. Lash may actually be getting reasonably close to Prime Tactics at this rate, and once she uses Prime Tactics, it basically means that... let's see... Yeah, I'll drop you a little closer. And I can't afford to go there, because then the APC will die to that mech. I may even be able to start artillery shelling this black cannon, because as strong as Sammy's mechs can be, they're not good against cannons at all. I think I need to kill 2 things in one turn for a perfect power score, and I think that's what I've done here. Because Lash has only lost 10 units at this point. So it'd be funny if I was just only going through killing 1 thing a turn and I ended up failing power because of it. Yeah, I can't really afford to build much better than a mech out of that, because otherwise the cannon will severely hurt my funds. But yeah, we're seeing here why infantry aren't great in, like, heavily mountainous maps, but you're not really gonna... I mean, honestly, this guy's not even gonna be in range of anything, so get another mech out of there, but that doesn't mean that I base skip a little bit, but yeah. Still, it's the slowly advancing wall of mechs. Oh, wait, you shot my mech with the artillery. I was thinking you'd shoot the APC. I guess, technically speaking, that's actually... I do not see why you didn't... I mean, honestly, no, this is a better engagement than killing my APC. I think Lash does prioritize attacking from mountains to get a 40% firepower bonus. Like, different COs generally don't have different AIs to them, except for things like, you know, Eagle using his power at the end of his turn instead of at the start. But I do think that the AI is aware of the firepower bonuses that they get, especially if they're terrain-based. Well, which the only person who gets terrain-based firepower bonuses in the first game is Lash, but there'll be more of those, let's just say, in Dual Strike. In Dual Strike, it did feel like they were kind of running out of ideas for COs. There's a lot of COs there that are just like, gets a firepower bonus on planes, roads, on cities, except the city one was like utterly busted, but that's a story for another day. And then eventually it's just like, yeah, getting first struck from Lash on mountains with her mechs is not good because, again, Lash has 40% firepower on mountains, which means that that's actually significantly better than Sammy. So, yeah, we don't want to... At this point, we actually do need to start being careful, because this is Lash in her elements, speaking of her elements. Once she gets Prime Tactics, everything on mountains essentially becomes invincible. Which is also something that you need to be very, very careful of. Also, everything on HQs effectively becomes invincible, but I've already gone over that. Again, more mechs here. You know, I actually wonder, maybe I will get Victory March. We'll see what happens. We'll see. All this mountainous terrain just makes me think of the first Smogon creator Pokemon. Sicklank, I think it was, or Sickland, I forget. It was an ice bug type that they thought would, like, those... that they foolishly thought would be a good Garchomp counter, which obviously was not the case at all. Like, they kind of... That's kind of the thing, like, it often happens in competitive games where some people can severely overestimate or underestimate how good certain things are. Like, for example, in this game, Lash was heavily overestimated for a long time. People used to think Lash was broken, but she really isn't. But yeah, that was a time when people thought Garchomp wasn't that bad, and how wrong they were. But, like, yeah, they thought that somehow a glass cannon bug ice type would actually be a good Garchomp counter. But what I was going to mention is that the mountain thing reminds me that they gave it this ability called Mountaineer that made it take no damage from rock-type moves while switching in, and obviously the only reason that exists is because of Stealth Rock. Like that ability specifically existed just so that it would still be viable in spite of Stealth Rock, which just kind of goes to show how... Yeah, although what's interesting is that a lot of people, like, there's a lot of, like, casual players who think that, like, Stealth Rock is broken, and, there have been suspect tests on Stealth Rock, and I think it was generally agreed that, Stealth Rock, that banning Stealth Rock actually made the metagame worse, because it made, like, things like Dragonite completely broken, and Volcarona. And also here, I'm attacking first with the infantry because it's worth a lot less, so I'd rather it take damage than the mech did, but the infantry didn't even take damage. And again, yeah, here's where Sandy mechs look really cool, but you don't expect to be doing this a lot of the time. I can start advancing on that base right now. See, I have 18,000 right now, but I don't want medium tanks and I don't want rockets. Because rockets would just be terrible here, there's barely any roads, and medium tanks as well, they'd just be slowed down by the terrain too much, so... There's, like, not much that I can really get besides infantry and maybe artillery. That is kind of the Sandy strategy in a nutshell. Okay, there's Prime Tactics. Which means...
You're so silly.
That anything that is on mountains is essentially going to be invincible. I am wondering how they represent this, though, because it looks like the terrain window only has room for, 5 stars in this version. Because they do straight up show, like, 8 stars of terrain in the original game if, Lash uses Prime Tactics. I also love how a power thing sounds. In fact, now might actually be a good time to mention that, the original manual of Black Hole Rising actually had Lash's powers horribly wrong. But, yep, that's the power of Prime Tactics. I mean, it's still not a horrible idea. I just want to see how this looks. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, it just kind of overflows the rating scale and just says 8 in one giant star. That's pretty cool. Now, yeah, I don't actually want the 1 HP mech to die because, I mean, there's There's a strong possibility that I might be able to capture the HQ with Victory March, and that would be amazing. So let's see. When the mechs come marching in. Let's hit that. Yeah, see, it has 2-star defense and 20% firepower thanks to Lash's prime tactics. But yeah, like I was saying, so it was horribly wrong about how Lash's powers work, the original manual. For terrain tactics, it just said turns terrain effects into firepower bonuses. That's just Lash's day-to-day ability. But that's not, like, she doesn't need a power to get that. And then, on Prime Tactics, it said, in addition to using terrain effects to increase firepower, drops the movement cost of all units to 1. That's her normal power, that's Terrain Tactics. Thankfully, the game itself did correctly say that Prime Tactics doubles terrain in addition to, using it to increase firepower, just like, how she normally works. Yeah, here's the problem. If this infantry, yeah, it's gonna kill one of these mechs. It's definitely gonna kill one of these mechs. And only one of them is potentially in range of, that. I guess I can almost kill you off, but yeah, like 3 units, including a full HP tank, to take out one thing on a mountain, that is the power of Prime Tactics. Okay, you're the 5 HP... thing. I have 22,000, but again, like, I can't really use many units here besides foot soldiers. Have I hit the cap yet? Okay, 53 and lost 5. I believe that means I can deploy 2 more units, and then I will be at the cap. I don't think anything except that 7 HP tank can, Oh, and it did, That was literally the one thing that could kill this mech. I guess she knows about... Well, I mean, she probably doesn't know about, that I'll be able to... Yeah, that died because 40% firepower, thought so. I guess she doesn't know that I can Victory March that onto the HQ, potentially, but, yeah, normally if you're facing Sammy, you keep your HQ very much covered at all times, because otherwise Victory March happens. But eventually, I'll just keep throwing more and more units in until she has no choice but to accept my Victory March domination on her HQ. Unfortunately, though, that mech's probably going to kill this one. Unless I do this. I mean, this is actually not great, though, because basically, that thing is going to first strike me with 40% firepower from the mountain, which is not going to end well. Okay, okay. If I put the APC there, it dies to artillery, though. Maybe I can do that, though. It's just a matter of slowly creeping forwards. Surprisingly, I'm still not at the unit cap. I think I'm very close, but at least one thing is probably dying this turn. I thought that artillery would get hit. And there's another problem with mechs. They really can't advance into artillery safely. So they do get decently zoned out by them. Unless you have a lot of them, but yeah, again, having a lot of them is not an amazing investment unless it's a map like this. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay. Oh, I'm so close, but 1, 2, 3, 4. I am not quite in range. But again, I am very close. So next turn, I should be able to get the Victory March victory. Unless these... but that's going to be... Okay, right. That's a little... Might be a little harder, though, because I don't really have one mech in a good position to do that, and it's not a healthy mech. And I lost most of my APCs. I guess I can do this to make sure that my other units don't die. And there we go! Looks like you have 50 units deployed. No more units can be produced at this time. Yes, I actually hit the unit cap. That's another reason why Sammy is kind of ridiculous, because her best units are really cheap, which means that she can flood them out. Okay, I had a feeling you would go for that one. Which leaves my 10 HP mech unscathed, which is good, but it's not quite in range to Victory March just yet. See, here's the sad thing, as close as I am to a Victory March, I wonder if, like, I'd probably more effectively be able to route her with it. Although, actually, okay, this mech I think is definitely in position. Yeah, that's in position. So now, provided she doesn't put something on her HQ, which she might. Oh, right, that's a mech. Right, whoops. I guess I have to do that then. Sorry, tank. So sorry, tank, but I have 50 units. I'm probably getting perfect technique. Yeah, this would actually be very much against you getting perfect technique if this was Days of Ruin. Like, they specifically changed the technique requirements to discourage unit spam. But as I've said before, I still think it's really weird how, in that game, you are effectively rewarded for letting your enemy build more units. Because that actually, like, the technique rating is based on beating a smaller force with a larger, beating a larger force with a smaller force. When you are at the unit cap, though, you can just join things, and that'll reduce your overall unit count, so that you can build more things. So I'm pretty sure something is going to get through with Victory March next turn. Okay, you're attacking that. I was afraid you'd do that, though, because now you actually can kill my artillery with the mech. Now that's full HP and it's on a mountain, so yeah. Lash mechs on mountains are pretty brutal. Okay, the HQ is exposed, so I've got this. Now I can finally go for this. But yeah, the fact that you have to save this up for so many turns usually means
here I come.
Your opponent will see this coming a mile away if you're going for it.
Victory March.
But even if you don't get the HQ with Victory March, also this is going to be literally the longest Victory March ever, because I have 50 units deployed and basically all of them are foot soldiers. But, yeah. Even if you don't get the HQ, you'll probably get a whole lot of your opponent's properties and, like, really, really cripple their economy, so... Like, for example, watch this. Yeah. And, yeah, I guess, my mech can, like, run through here, just flow right across these mountains. Like, look at this, just... Like, Victory March is a fun power, I will definitely admit. It's a very, very fun power. Usually not practical most of the time, but it is pretty hilarious when you make it work. Oh, that infantry can't go all the way and reach this one. Like, I'm pretty sure I can route her if I wanted to this turn, but I'm gonna focus on getting the HQ because it's just, you know, that's just what you do with Victory March. Like look at this, look at this. I have a guaranteed pretty much one shot on infantry with my own infantry. Just Sammy is pretty great in Black Hole Rising. What more can I say? I mean, she was decent in the first game too, but just, yeah, Victory March is, again, it's not the most practical of things, but, is this gonna actually kill you? This would be really funny if it did. Yes, it is. Okay, and I can't kill that, because I need to go for the HQ. Is there anything... the 1 HP infantry can't reach the HQ. So I wanted to see if I could get that base as well, but no. Let's just finish this. It's not like this is our only hidden base. Just Lash is great. Yeah, she must have done a full, factory... She must have done a full formatting factory reset on all of her hard drives. At the very least, it means that she's not going to be able to use that Bathe in Fire weapon on us anytime soon.
Yep.
Move ahead base by base and ensure we take them all. Which is basically Sammy's playstyle summed up.
This is just the beginning.
I missed perfect score by 1 point, really? That's kind of a slap in the face, to be honest. If I positioned, like, some of my things just right, I might have been able to victory march in with, like, that mech a little earlier. But, yeah, that is Mountain Ops done. It's not a particularly, like, insanely difficult mission. It's kind of a fun one, though. It's, like, really showing Sammy at her best. And it's also a map where victory march looks hilarious. So, with that over, next time it will be Andy's challenge exclusive mission, which is actually kind of easy, but it's also going to introduce us to a new character and a very interesting one, so look forward to that next time.